Do you think Prince Harry should be on that list, on that protected list?
Yes. So there you go, that's cutting straight to the chase. And I'm not supposed to talk about these things, but I think the way he's been treated, whether you like the Duke of Sussex or not, or Prince Harry, or however you want to refer to him, isn't really the issue. There are plenty of people on the list who don't have a threat and risk profile that would automatically guarantee them armed protection. He was certainly one that did. We were not asked specifically to withdraw his protection, which only leaves the government and the royal household. We give him weak protection because we're doing it on the cheap, and something happens to him. Just because the committee said that was okay, I wouldn't want to be sitting in Mark Rowley's seat when that happens.
No, absolutely. I've been told about a fixated individual who was on the Duke of Sussex's private protection team's fixated people's list, who did manage to evade security and police at the Welshard Award event that he attended in London a couple of weeks ago, and got within feet of the Duke.
The most common nature of threat to a member of the royal family has been fixated individuals. There's even a specialist team set up within New Scotland Yard to deal with fixated threat assessments. It's the problem we had when the threat changed in counterterrorism from cells of well-trained, well-organised, well-financed terrorists to individuals sitting in their bedroom just deciding, today I'm going to go and attack somebody. That should underline immediately how high risk he is when he's here. The reality is it must be costing the police more to do it the way they're doing it. There are certain individuals on that list who require lesser levels of protection, which are cheaper and don't cost the taxpayer as much. And the reason they don't require that level of protection is their threat and risk is not as high. He is not one of them. I think a lot of people are making decisions based on emotion and about what they would like to have happened rather than what happened. They did it because they didn't think he would leave. I think they thought if he wasn't protected, he wouldn't leave the country and he wouldn't relinquish his royalty. I mean, he didn't want to give up, as I understand it. I'm only going from what's been reported in more responsible papers like yours, that he didn't want to give up his duties, but he didn't want to give up his titles. He just wanted to. Well, I guess he wanted to do what he wanted to do, and at the end of the day, it's a bit unfortunate to find out that the job you want to do is not always the job you have to do. And I think the country is the poorer for not having him and Meghan, Kate and William all here together. And I hope it gets resolved. I really do. As a father, not just as a former head of counterterrorism.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Sussexes Unfiltered. The man who literally used to run Britain's counter-terror operations, Neil Basu, has just confirmed what Harry's been saying all along. He was left exposed, unprotected and deliberately targeted. And get this, Basu says it was a mistake that could have deadly consequences. So, who made that mistake? Why was one of Britain's most famous and most threatened royals suddenly treated like he's some random tourist? And what does this say about King Charles, the palace, and their so-called family values? Oh, it's about to get spicy. Grab your tea, your popcorn, or your pearls if you're clutching them, because we're diving deep into the royal mess that's now being exposed in plain sight. So here's the headline. Neil Basu, the former head of UK counter-terrorism, sat down with the Telegraph and dropped truth bombs that are shaking Buckingham Palace like a windy day at Balmoral. He said, and I quote, Prince Harry should be on the state-protected list. Translation: the decision to strip his security was reckless and wrong. Basu revealed that in 2019 the official risk assessment placed Harry second only to the late Queen when it came to personal danger. That's right, higher than William, higher than Charles, higher than basically anyone else in the royal orbit. And yet, they decided to pull his protection. Why? Because apparently someone inside the palace decided that if Harry wasn't bowing and smiling on royal duty, he didn't deserve safety. Now, Neil Basu isn't just some random commentator. This is the man who used to lead Britain's counter-terror operations. He's dealt with actual extremist threats, coordinated national responses, and knows exactly what kind of danger high-profile figures face. And according to him, Harry's threats haven't gone down. In fact, they've grown, thanks to online extremism, tabloid hate campaigns, and royal watchers who turned their obsession into a sport. Remember, Harry served in Afghanistan. He's a veteran. That alone makes him a prime target for extremist groups. Combine that with the ugly online mob that stalks Meghan and Harry daily, and you've got a dangerous cocktail. But instead of giving him protection, the palace basically said, "Nah, we'll take our chances." That's not just cruel, it's criminally negligent. Basu didn't hold back. He called out the inconsistency in the royal security system, saying that people with lower risk levels are still being fully protected, while Harry, who clearly qualifies, is left out. So the question is, what's really going on? Well, according to Basu, the decision had nothing to do with security assessments and everything to do with palace politics. Sound familiar? He confirmed that the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, RAVEC, made the decision, but not based purely on police data. No. Basu says that influence from palace insiders played a role. In other words, the people whispering in the king's ear had more say than the experts protecting lives. And guess whose name keeps popping up behind the scenes? Sir Clive Alderton, King Charles's private secretary. Now, this man has quietly become one of the most powerful gatekeepers in royal history, and multiple reports suggest he's the one who pushed for Harry's partial protection, or, as Basu calls it, a risky, inconsistent system. Let's talk about that bombshell detail. And it's chilling. Back in 2023, documents from the Standard showed that RAVEC basically said if Prince Harry were attacked, it wouldn't significantly disturb the British public. Wait, what? So they literally decided that if something happened to him, people wouldn't care enough. That's not just heartless, that's morally bankrupt. And guess where that logic reportedly came from? King Charles himself. This is where it gets dark. According to The Independent, the late Queen Elizabeth had written through her private secretary that it was imperative for Harry and Meghan to have effective security. That was her wish, but Charles overruled it. He ignored his mother's written instruction and allowed a committee of bureaucrats to treat his son like an inconvenience. A father who shields one son and exposes another. That's not leadership. That's favoritism in its ugliest form. Now, remember when Harry offered to personally pay for his own security? The tabloids twisted that story into something ridiculous, claiming he wanted special treatment. But Basu has now cleared that up. He said Harry's offer was genuine and reasonable. The only reason it wasn't accepted because the government feared it would set a precedent. So let me get this straight. You can't let him pay for his own protection because it might make rich people think they can buy security. But you're okay with not protecting him at all, while still using taxpayer money every time he visits. The logic here is as fragile as royal PR. Basu said it himself. The current setup is inefficient and costly. Every time Harry flies in, local police forces scramble to protect him, stretching resources thin. If they just gave him a proper team, it would actually save money and lives. But that would make too much sense, right? Meanwhile, the palace press office keeps pretending none of this is political. They act like these decisions are purely procedural, just another administrative matter. But when you read between the lines, it's obvious. They wanted to make an example out of Harry, to punish him for daring to walk away, for daring to choose his wife and his peace over the firm. They underestimated him, though. Harry wasn't bluffing when he said he'd go to court for his family's safety. And that's exactly what he did. He took the British government to court and won public sympathy across the world, because every parent understands what it means to fight for your family's protection. And now Basu's statement just proved him right. Once again, Harry told the truth. The system failed him, deliberately. Let's be real, this is more than a security issue. It's about what the monarchy values: image over integrity, silence over truth, loyalty over love. The symbolism is crystal clear: a king who protects one son while leaving the other exposed. A system that preaches duty while ignoring its most basic one, the duty to protect life. Neil Basu's words cut deep because they confirm what many already suspected: that the will to protect Harry was lost, not the need to. And that should make every decent person ask, if this can happen to a prince, what does that say about the system's compassion for anyone else? So here's the truth, unfiltered. Harry isn't paranoid. He isn't overreacting. He's living the reality that even experts now admit: the system failed him, and those responsible are hiding behind palace walls. And as Neil Basu said, think of the cost of something happening to him. Exactly, because the moment that happens, all those same critics will suddenly say, "Oh, what a tragedy." But by then, it'll be too late. So yes, King Charles, Sir Clive Alderton, RAVEC, you've been exposed. And once again, it's not Harry who looks weak, it's the system that failed him. If you're proud of Harry and Meghan for standing their ground, for speaking truth to power, and for refusing to bow to this kind of hypocrisy, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Until next time, stay bold, stay unfiltered, and never forget: the truth always comes out, even when the crown tries to hide it.